What's up, guys? It's been a crazy day, a very busy MLK day. And since the pull list is definitely going to be late, I figured I would upload something else. Since today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I figured I would show off, the first completed wall in my new comic room. So, typically I'll do like DC Marvel Indies, right? So this is my DC shelf. Over here is my Marvel shelf. And then when I was doing the indies, I've had a lot of books that have been like in different sections of different shelves. But now I've got places where everything can be consolidated. And I just thought, what would be cool? A black comics section on the shelf. And it's funny because I've always like kind of made fun of Barnes and Noble. Because if you go into Barnes and Noble, they've got a section, I think they call it African American interests. And I'm like, how do you define that? Like, like with all the genres we have for books, we got horror, fantasy, science fiction, black. And it's like, what is black? Is it a black character? Is it a black writer? Like, what makes it black? So anyway, for purposes of this shelf, my black comics section is basically mostly black creative teams and or black characters, but kind of all of this has very specifically black historical relevance as well. So starting with the art on the walls, this is my Milestone posters. You've seen those four flanking the sides. Those are the original posters that came with the collector's edition of each Milestone #1 title, first wave. And then I've got the first promo poster from Milestone. You're kind of showing off that 2/27/93, which is the day that Hardware #1 came out. If you're not there, you just won't get it. We got the DC Bullet. And if you look closely, this was signed by Dennis Cowan at last year's New York Comic Con, when I finally got to meet the GOAT. And so, just real quick, we got some Milestone memorabilia here. Got the little comic book display stand. There's a custom statue that I'm still supposed to be doing a video on so you guys can see it a little bit more detail. But hey, here's a preview for all you guys watching on MLK Day. This is 3D printed by my man, Steven, and it's very cool. It's a one of one. It's modeled after the cover for Static issue #8, which is my favorite Static cover by Walt Simonson, if I'm not mistaken. Got the DC Universe Justice League Unlimited toys featuring Future Static, Aquagirl, and Micron, who is not the Atom, but looks like the Atom. Got my Milestone hat signed by a bunch of creators, Christopher Priest and Dennis Cowan up top. And then down below, we got Jimmy Palmiotti, Koi Pham, who did artwork on Duo, Greg Burnham, who was in the Milestone Initiative. We got Tommy Lee Edwards. This is Anthony Fowler, who was also in the Milestone Initiative. Dang, I met Mo Hampton, but I wasn't wearing this hat, so I couldn't get him to sign it. Anyway, there'll be other times. Invisible Men, Trailblazing Black Artists of Comic Books, historical book. Got my my fourth wall stuff over here. So I thought it was cool, like, to have Milestone stuff, kind of like old generation stuff, in with like what I consider to be like a sort of new wave. Like this fourth wall and like Ace Blade Lumberjacks kind of represents this new wave of indie creatives that you might see online. People like Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams, people like Stephanie Williams, who were clearly inspired by the work done by not just Milestone, but all sorts of black comic creatives in the past, and are now kind of taking that baton and moving it into the future. So I thought it was cool to have them represented on this shelf, along with a bunch of Milestone memorabilia. But now to the books. So over here, I decided to start things off with All Negro Comics #1. This is the first comic with an all-black creative team. I did a whole video about the history of that book, and shout out to Chris Robinson, who brought that hardcover project together on Kickstarter. Got a whole run of like the original Milestone trades. So this is the first printing of Icon, A Hero's Welcome. We also got Static Shock, Trial by Fire. Around the same time as this Trial by Fire trade, we got the Rebirth of the Cool, which, well, it's actually a little bit later, but Rebirth of the Cool collects the first 4 issues of the original Static series, plus the Rebirth of the Cool miniseries. Very highly sought after trade, by the way. Like, I paid too much for this book. And then later I got another copy for way cheaper. Anyway, Milestone Compendiums. These are the reprinted materials that DC has been putting out for the last 3 years. Compendium Volume 4, I believe, is due out February 4th this year. So that'll be cool. I got an extra Volume 1 for a custom bind project I'm working on. And then we got the New 52 Static series that, quite honestly, is better not talked about. And then here's kind of stuff that like doesn't quite fit in here, but this is the Dwayne McDuffie run on Justice League. Before the Dwayne McDuffie, we got 2 volumes by Brad Meltzer. So Brad Meltzer might be the first and only white creative represented here. Well, main creative, because there's plenty of white people involved in Milestone, including John Rosen, who wrote on the Static Shock Supercharged New 52 series. But anyway, I've got the entire run of Justice League up until Dwayne McDuffie's departure. And then we got the DC Universe by Dwayne McDuffie. And then that leads us into the Milestone Returns section of the shelf. So, Duo, shout out to Greg Pak. We got Static Season 1, Vita Ayala. Also, Shadows of Dakota, which is Nick Draper Ivy and Vita Ayala. We got Icon and Rocket Season 1, Hardware Season 1. I should have grabbed a tripod or something. My hands are getting tired. But yeah, Blood Syndicate, Icon versus Hardware, which not my favorite thing in the world. The Next Batman by John Ridley. I don't know. I don't know. I felt like Black Batman deserved to be there. So even though I got a DC shelf, which is ironic because Naomi is on the DC shelf, but Black Batman is on the Black Comics shelf. And then we got the DC Power hardcover. I believe they did a new DC Power hardcover, but I can't remember if if it was a reprint of that book or not. Big Jim and the White Boy. Shout out to David F. Walker. This is one of my favorite books that came out last year. We got Black by Kwanzaa Osat. I can never say Kwanzaa's name. It's Black by Kwanzaa. It's a world like, what if only Black people had superpowers? Here's one by Saladin Ahmed. This is Abbott, 1973. Black woman lead, so I put it there. And I already shot out Fourth Wall Productions, but here's Ace Blade, the first trade paperback. Shout out to my man Patrick Foreman and Brian Hawkins. Brian Hawkins is going to be on the show again very soon, but this is Black Cotton. Love that. And then again, shout out to my man Omari Malik, the Black Tooth Battalion trade paperback. We got Snakebite, Dogpile, and Adastra. Dogpile is probably my favorite of those 3. Here we've got Flawed by Chuck Brown. This one I haven't read yet. I bought it from him at Heroes Con and just haven't quite gotten around to it. We got Horizon Volume 1 by Brandon Thomas. I grabbed that one at Ollie's. Then right here I got 3 books from Fair Square Comics. Fair Square owned, or yeah, I think founded by Fabrice Sapolsky, who, as a footnote, is the creator of Spider-Man, or co-creator of Spider-Man Noir. But he created this line to give underrepresented communities a voice in comics. And so we got Watson and Holmes. I didn't even realize this is Volume 2. I need to find the Watson and Holmes Volume 1. But Watson and Holmes, A Scandal in Harlem. I believe this is written by, well, there's a bunch of people in here. We got Brandon Easton, Greg Ellisay, whole bunch of people. Taboo, is that like Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas? Interesting. So we got that. We've also got Little Rock Files. Shout out to Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams. Although I don't think Marcus Williams does all the art in this book. He just does the covers. Still cool stuff. And then we got this other anthology. This is Noir is the New Black. Noir stories from Black creators. Also published by Fair Square. So shout out to Fair Square for all those 3. Speaking of Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams, we got Tuskegee Heirs Volume 1. Really love that book. So fun. Check out the Marcus Williams interview. We talked about that. And the Greg Burnham interview. Had them both on the show in back-to-back weeks. Anyway, here we got the full Stranger Comics collection of trade paperback. Shout out to my man Kevin Koss for I believe he gifted me this set, or maybe I bought this set, and then we went in half. We're supposed to be giving away a set of these. That's what happened. So I have 2 sets of these. I have this set and then a set that I'm supposed to give away to somebody. But we're supposed to be getting Seb Jones on the channel. Whenever Seb comes on the channel, then we'll figure out how to do the giveaway. Shout out to the late Congressman John Lewis. This is March, the trilogy, volumes 1, 2, and 3. I got a great deal on those on eBay. And then this is Run, volume 1. It's kind of a sequel, and I guess there won't be any more volumes since the late John Lewis is no longer with us. And then next up, I got a whole bunch of books from the Megascope line at Abrams Comic Arts. Shout out to John Jennings. John Jennings did Silver Surfer Ghostlight. And I really liked it. And so when I did my review, he was like, hey, you want to check out some of my other stuff? Here's some stuff from my imprint. And so we sent all of them. And of these, I think I really liked The Last Count of Monte Cristo. I really liked Hardy's and Queenie. Those are the ones that initially grabbed me. But they're all really cool. They focus on like Afrofuturism, speculative fiction. There's even like some historical like significance in some of these as well. So really, really cool stuff. I highly recommend the Abrams Comic Arts line. The one I really want to read that I haven't read yet is not here. I don't have it. It's Tales from the Orishas. That one has like some Caribbean, West Indian significance, and my family is from the islands. So it's very cool. And I really want to get into that one. But anyway, next up are some books that are not necessarily like, black books, if you will. But Lies My Teacher Told Me is great. I did a whole video about that. I also mentioned Charisma's Turn when I did one of my monthly comic reviews. That one's really cool. Nate Powell, Save It for Later. This one I have not read yet. Oh, also from Abrams Comic Arts. This one I've not read yet, but it looks really, really cool. Promises Parenthood and the Urgency of Protest. And another one, like, I don't know, when you talk about like this new era of like sort of protest comics, if you will, Nate Powell does them all. And I love his art style, his illustration. It's great. So, really, really cool stuff. Like I said, we could have done this for Black History Month, but what I would like to do, I would like to like just kind of do spotlight videos every week in February of like one of these titles. That'll be cool. And that's all the comics, I guess. We got this sort of textbook. It's Black Superheroes, Milestone Comics, and Their Fans. It could have been like a, I don't know, it was basically like a, it could have been like a master thesis or something, or like a doctoral thesis. I don't know, dissertation. But it was interesting to like highlight how Milestone Comics kind of changed stuff and how they were received at the time. He interviewed a bunch of comic fans and creators and even some of the people involved in Milestone for that book. So if you're a Milestone fan, it's a good one to have. And then this is an Overstreet price guide that I bought specifically for this Dennis Cowan cover. It came out around the same time as all the Milestone Returns stuff. And then this is the Bible, which ironically doesn't really feature any black characters, at least not any black depictions of characters. But like mad people in the Bible were black, so I put it there. Anyway, there's other black comics in my indie section, but I haven't moved them to the black section of it yet. But anyway, we got Bitterroot. You can't talk about black comics and not talk about Bitterroot. Again, shout out to David F. Walker and Chuck Brown and the GOAT, Sanford Green. Sanford Green's in a book. I buy a book. Excellence, Brandon Thomas, Kari Randolph, Emilio Lopez. I really wish we would get that third and final volume of Excellence, but here we are. Trump is president again, so like it's even more relevant now, which is crazy to say, but hey, crazier things have happened. I don't think anybody in the Skyward creative team is black, but this was one of the first like young black girls I bought in a comic book. I really love that book, so that's cool stuff. And all the Ninja Turtles are black. It's canon, look it up. Anyway, that was the black comics section of my shelf. I figured I'd do a little spotlight for Black History Month. You guys have seen this. I believe you've seen this anyway. This is a color separation, like test page for the cover of Blood Syndicate issue number 10. I got this for a steal on eBay. At least I consider it a steal. Who knows what it's actually worth, but this thing is really cool. And that's one of my favorite Blood Syndicate covers as well. That whole, when Walt Simonson had his cover month at Milestone, just beautiful stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I'll see y'all in another one soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.